Oh, we're fine. We hope you are too.
Very well.
Great. So first, in context, for those of us who've never dealt with the Publican platform, most of us will never get opportunity to. Exactly what does Publican do?
Publican is supposed and underline supposed to be a risk tool for the use of custom. You know, we have never lived without custom using tools to try to validate values that have been presented by the trader. And when I talk about trader, I mean the importer. Okay, so in various times we have had captions like value assurance program. We have had verification unit under the destination inspection company, if you remember them, both internal and external verification. I mean, so this approach by customs to use other means to help them validate the value that the trader has presented has never been new to us. And it will not be strange in this time of technology advancement if GRA decides to employ the use of artificial intelligence to do this. Okay. So in principle, I don't think anybody is against the use of AI. But the problem always arises when the functionality, the 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 outcome or outcome does not satisfy one party. That is where the problem is. And ever since the GRA through some division deployed this tool, I mean, we've had interactions, but that's not the kind of interaction that one would have expected for such a deployment. Okay. And that is what is creating the problem. So I think the issue at hand now is a mixture of not following the change management systems that we have all gone to learn in schools and even in practice, and thinking that because there is power, the tool can be deployed in a manner whose outcome is what is bringing about all these confusion in the port. And I think that the finance ministry will, as a matter of urgency, will have to revise their notes and use the only proven method to advance the deployment of the AI for everybody to accept the outcome. It might not, the outcome in so many ways might not be palatable, but if the scope, the appellate system, everything is properly determined, I think everybody will now have a certain sense of predictability, knowing that, oh, when I bring this thing in, this is going to be the outcome. If the outcome is not so, this is where I go for appeal solution. In the absence of that, trust me, it's a whole jumble of confusion on the ground. Forget about what everybody says up there. People have interest. Some are politics, some are revenue based, but the truth is that the right thing is not being done on the ground. That's why we have this problem.
What have they failed to do that they typically would have done when introducing this kind of software or system?
Okay. So you are introducing a risk mitigating tool that you know or you should know is going to affect the outcome of the process in such a manner. So what you do is to have a proper stakeholder consultation so that stakeholders will mirror to you the nuances of situations on the ground. You see, you do not use the average approach or the mean approach to deploy it because definitely there are outliers. And it is those outliers that we have not fashioned into the deployment of the system. They are the ones causing the problem. Because clearly, if you listen to the Commissioner General and a lot of his clients, they will tell you that close to 75% of processes that have passed through the AI have conformed. So it tells you that it is perhaps the 25% that may be in the group of the outliers that you have not thought of. That's what is causing the problem. Now, I have two documents with me here. One was issued on 10th March, and it's a memorandum from GRA to all ports and stations. The reference is Directive on the Use of the Publican AI System for Import Clearance and Assessment. And the second paragraph, part of which says that the use of the Publican AI system is mandatory for all import clearance systems. Now, there's a problem here. How do you use a big language model like the Publican AI system to determine value for cannibalized parts? Let's say somebody goes to anywhere, South Korea, Europe, Germany, or anywhere, and buys the commissioned vehicles and caps them to parts. You have engines, you have doors here, all of that. How are you going to use the AI to assess value for these items? So we know if you've used the AI before, you know how it works. It has to be trained. Okay, so you do not deploy such a system on live wired situations that are affecting people's investment. And then when there is a problem, you meet a cul-de-sac. You hit the appellate system, and it's like there's nowhere to go. And there's another part of this very directive, which says that is the paragraph 4. Officers are to ensure that all entries have been processed through the AI platform before any assessment or release is authorized. As if that is not bad enough because certain nuances will not have been considered, it says that for the avoidance of doubt, when an officer's valuation outcome is lower than the values provided by the Publican AI system, the values of the Publican AI system should be used as the basis for computing the applicable taxes. On the other hand, when an officer's valuation is equal to or higher than the values provided by the Publican AI system, the officer's valuation shall stand. You see, Sana, when you do this, you have authoritatively introduced the benchmark, okay, which we spoke again. You remember the benchmark. And if you look at section 68 of Act 891, the Customs Act, the subsection 3, it reads, the customs value shall not be determined on the basis of any of the following. Then the X part says minimum customs value. If I should just read this in proper context, what it's saying that the customs value shall not be determined on the basis of minimum customs value. But here is the directive from GRA to customs, instructing them to do exactly what the law says they should not do. You see, so when you have situations like this, and then the outcome of the processes that are going through the AI system are suggesting same, then you know that there's going to be a problem. Okay? The AI, I don't know what happened to them, but they have given the AI a bad name, which is now creating this problem on the ground.
Now, what is it about the issues you raise that the appeal system cannot deal with? Because from all communication I've heard, GRA has insisted that if you have these kind of issues, you can raise at the appeal level. Are you saying the current appeal system is unable to deal with these challenges?
You see, after they released the 10th of March memorandum, they came up with another one. It looks like when they realized there is a gap in the declaration that they issued, they came up with another one. Now quoting what they are expected to do under the key paragraph of this second memorandum that came on the 16th of March. Now referencing their own act and the provisions of the General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, Section 7 of it. Fine. But this has not in any way affected the process on the ground. The process on the ground still reflects the 10th of March directive. Okay? They claim there is an appellate system, but nobody knows how the appellate system is working. I mean, probably it might be working for the 75% that they say are compliant. When they have problems, they come there. But the way the appellate system is structured without any timeline. No directive has been issued. So you have a problem, and it's like you're on your own. They are asking if I had the president speak about it and the Peru business, something. The impression has been given that the appellate system is a very smooth and sequential orchestration, but it is not. You go there and you can. Some people have taken ever since this thing was deployed. Some people have been going on appeals up to now. There is no proper directive, no architecture of what we must go through. The scope has not been defined. Okay, so that's the confusion that is on the ground, and people's blood will necessarily boil when you subject them to these kinds of activities. You see, the appellate system is on paper; it is not on the ground. In any case, the body that is supposed to adjudicate between customs and the trader is the Ghana International Trade Commission. But where are they in it? Because can you Sana, you know you are a court correspondent. Can you imagine a system where you appeal to the same judge? Okay, that is the appellate system at customs. But we've been dealing with it. I mean, with time. But the real appellate system should be with another body who will have to subject what customs has done under expert scrutiny. We don't have these situations on the ground. So it's like some kind of arbitrariness that is being turned here and there. But seriously, if you get on yesterday I was at the airport. I supervised one of the debtors at the airport while another one was happening at Tema. The people's frustrations that they were coming up with. If you ask someone to go and bring their transfer document, you are behaving as if for every transaction, there must be a transfer document. Some people, I have a client who pays, their parent company pays for the goods outside. So you're not going to have any transfer. But if you put a system down and you put an appeal system down and you give them these kinds of instructions, so somebody starts his process, you disagree with his value, and then when it comes to you, you tell him to bring transfer document. In the absence of the transfer document, what else will you take? And then there is the process is stone blocked. How do you expect the person? And with any time that the process is stone blocked, it is like a double slap. The person is appealing the value, and then while he's appealing the value, the time-related charges are mounting. Demurrage is mounting, storage is mounting, government has its own way of taking what we call the interest tax. Everything is mounting. You see. So if these things are not corrected, you can see the bleakness of the picture, and perhaps that's the reason of how the declaration of the strike. Because we might as well just sit and watch how the system unfolds without proper solutions. And these people who have been put in places to give us solutions are refusing to consider other aspects of the business to start.
Exactly what do you want them to do about those concerns that you have raised?
Great. So now, if you've monitored my conversation over the years, I always talk of the governance structure. We have none. You see, by the close of 2015, this same administration had a very useful structure ongoing. We have met the president, have drawn his attention that, look, we need such a structure back to supervise the ecosystem in the port. As we speak now, there was going to be another strike action by the Joint Association of Port Transport Union that has around 11,000 vehicles under their command. They were going to strike because, once again, another arm of the state has decided to register them and impose a fee of 250 Ghana cedis on each vehicle. For what? You know, because while everybody was sleeping, they have a law that asks or empowers them to do this. But if we had a useful governance structure, these things, no matter where and how or the time of day that it was happening, people's attention will be drawn to what is right and what is not right. The other day, I had the finance minister talk about the difficulty he is having in monitoring fees or some actions by ministry department and agencies because most of them have gone for regulations here and there that they can do certain things. For which reason he cannot exercise the power that has been given him under the PS, the Financial Management Act, the Public Financial Management Act. That is what is happening within our state. Managements are being done in silos. This one does this one doesn't know, and then that is what is happening. And it's creating a whole lot of confusion. This thing was supposed to have been solved by the eminent jury, Professor Crab, where he rationalized our laws somewhere by the turn of 1999, 2000, about. But we have started unraveling all these rationalizations. We are negating it because MMDAs in the middle of the night are passing laws and regulations, and Parliament is watching on and making it fly. That's the problem we have. So this issue demands a cabinet level. The president will have to intervene and make sure that there is a body in place that sees the activities of all these MMDAs. Otherwise, the IGF, the internally generated fund factor, is deciding so many things on the ground, okay, which is not helping.
I mean, because you currently have concerns, when you've laid out those concerns, what do you want the Ministry of Finance, you mentioned them, the Ghana Revenue Authority, to do about those concerns? Exactly what are you expecting them to do?
We want them to properly scope what an AI intervention can do and what it cannot do. You see, we met the Deputy Finance Minister on the 1st of April, and he admitted to the fact that the 10th of March letter, the communication was not right. He admitted to it. I'm sure that's why they issued the 16th of March one. Now, it shouldn't stop there. When we came out of the meeting, we heard rumors, once again, just rumors, that used items have been taken off the AI reach. But the letters on the ground do not suggest that. And in fact, the happenings on the ground does not support that. Okay? So we want directives to be issued, and these directives will have to be issued on the basis of proper stakeholder interaction, give and take, where we express to them some of the things that they have not considered. Okay? Now, vehicle valuation, Ghana has been adjudged as one of the best examples of how we value used vehicles. Even the World Customs Organization has a pronouncement on this one. So, what is the trouble over there? Where we use the home delivery value and customs have their own formula to generate it. If you want to work this into the AI, fine. But when arbitrary how do you call it, outcomes are coming, let me tell you one. You see, we are very conscious of the fact that there could be mischief at play and all of that too. But we are not to arrest mischief at their level. You know Dodge Ram. I don't know if you are a vehicle freak because I am not, but you should know Dodge Ram, the pickup, the huge American type pickup, Dodge Ram.
Okay.
Okay. So the Dodge Ram was processed into the system, and it came out with HS code that related to live goods. Okay. Now you would have been expecting that the officer on the bridge would have arrested this process, but he pushed it through to the agent. Okay, I mean, why should these things happen? I mean, that's what I'm saying. There could be mischief factors in there and all of that, but we want to sit properly, not the kind of meeting that we had with the deputy minister on the 1st of April, because it was as if he was in a rush. And that kind of posture will not help solution finding. We will have to document the outliers and so that they can find out what the AI is not the Holy Spirit. It cannot be everywhere. There are certain things it cannot do. I use AI a lot, and you know AI, every language model, if you don't, it hallucinates. So you have to anticipate some of these hallucinatory outcomes and how it must be dealt with. You don't push these things to the agent and expect him to appeal. And because while the appeal process is going on, like I've stated, you have time-related fees mounting up, which nobody cares to do about. So we have to sit properly. If they have to suspend it, I don't think we will need too much time to sit. Okay. We can find a day, express all the other things that they might not have considered, but it's happening as we speak. How do you, at the airport, put a system in place where for perishable, like day-old chicks, when they are coming to you, need to expeditiously release them out of the system. You release the day-old chick whose value is $0.8, and the AI system disagrees with 0.8, it comes up with 1.85. The agent has released, I mean, the day-old consignment has been released all right, but there's something we call perfection, because you cannot do all the processes while the day-old are on the tarmac or in the terminal. So this thing is done. The AI comes up with a 1.8 figure. There is no backing down. So the agent has to pay, or the trader has to pay on process. And when he's perfecting this 1.8 that you've given him by the AI, then the AI turns another value which is higher than the 1.85. Clearly, I'm not sure this is what the Commissioner General expects traders to be subjected to. These are clearly glitches.
Okay.
But the customs officer on the ground has been issued a directive which renders him impotent. There's nothing he can do about it because his job is on the line. So he will just have to turn out whatever garbage in, garbage out that the system has turned out. Okay. And this is not good for the trader.
KWABENA, thank you very much for speaking to us. I think the point is former president, Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, joining us on the line. Now, the issues is raised. Like I said, the Commissioner General himself is here. You join us in studio. We'll put some of those issues to him. But very importantly is the education on what the publican is supposed to do. Is the publican achieving that? How would they address these issues and the agitations from some traders? some traders, and even Kobena accepts that it is not everybody that has a problem, that there are some who have a problem, and those problems must be addressed. They must find a way. He said proper consultations are needed, engagements are needed. Nancy, before I take a break and bring in the Commissioner General.
Now, when factories rise, we protect them. When businesses grow, we guard them, their future. When families